Hello, good evening and welcome to this new edition of the English News. The top stories are: inauguration of border post in Loyade, in South Sudan, over 2 million people fled their homes.
Those were the top stories. Thank you for joining us. The Prime Minister, Mr. Abdul Qadir Kamil Mohammed, has sponsored this morning the ceremony of laying the first stone of a Bahrain village for the development, which is financed by the Committee of Businessmen of Al-Islah Al-Khairi Association. This project is executed and supervised by the International African Committee of Al-Rahma. The ceremony gathered the members of the government, the leader of Al-Rahma, Mr. Saad Al-Lautaibi, the regional director, the rescue committee of Al-Rahma in Djibouti, Mr. Abdul Ghani Al-Khuraishi, the mayor of the city, Hussein Abdullah Qayad, as well as the international businessman. Upon his arrival, the Prime Minister Abdul Qadir Kamil Mohammed has been welcomed by the leader of African Rescue Committee of Kuwait, Mr. Saad Al-Lautaibi, and by the regional director of the Al-Rahma Committee, Mr. Abdul Ghani Al-Khuraishi. In a speech in his occasion, the leader of the delegation, Mr. Tariq Taha, has in the first place thanked the Djiboutian authorities for the warm welcome which has been received for him and his delegation. He indicated that this project emanated from Bahrain businessmen in favor of the most vulnerable people and is a rating of the former Minister of Bahrain Social Affairs. This project will improve the living condition of the community, he said, and emphasized that Al-Rahma International is in charge of the execution and supervision of this project, which include 100 social housing units, a mosque and a schools.
Merci.
In his speech, the mayor of the city has explained that they are gathered here to provide decent housing to the poor families, in which our human values and Islamic urge us, he said, to help. This aid will include 100 housing units with current water and the necessary infrastructures such as schools, dispensary, mosque and a sewing workshop. It is funded by our brothers of the Bahrain Kingdom that is incompetent upon us to warm return them, he said. This project is registered incompletely in line with the government policy and in particular the will of the President of the Republic, His Excellency Ismail Mergele, who put at the heart of its action on the provision of social housing and decent work for the most needy of our fellow citizens. In her intervention, the Secretary of State at the Ministry of Housing has indicated that the ceremony is an opportunity to celebrate with our sister and brother of Bahrain their commemoration day of their national holiday. We wish you a very national happy day, she said. The realization of this type of project demonstrates the willingness of our country to multiply the offer of a decent housing for any family in Djibouti. Because as you know, the access to decent housing for each household of Djibouti is a priority for His Excellency the President of the Republic and his government. In this context, social housing requires a special place, she concluded.
As for the Prime Minister, Abdul Qadir Kamil Mohammed has in his speech said that it is a pleasure for him to attend the ceremony of laying of the first stone of the project. On this occasion, he thanked the Bahraini businessmen who have financed this project of charity. This project is in addition to the charitable project that the Mercy International Organization has already executed through its regional office in Djibouti. It is in the fifth village that the organization carry out in several regions of the country. This Bahrain village will consist of 100 housing and schools, an hospital, and planning and sewing workshop for girls. The completion of this project will strengthen the policy of the government in the field of social housing in accordance with the guidelines of the President of the Republic, who wishes to improve the living condition of the Djiboutian. Our goal, he said, is to achieve a global development and harmonies for urban and rural population, which will thus be reached. I take this opportunity to recall that the government of Djibouti opens its door to all investors of the countries of the Gulf who wish to develop projects of charity for their Djiboutian brother. We wish to encourage all the good initiative and the effort of charitable organizations that contribute to the development of charity sector in Djibouti, he concluded.
A strong delegation of the Italian Carabinieri, led by the General of the Army Corps second in command of the Carabinieri Minister Vincenzo Giuliani, has been received by the Prime Minister, His Excellency Mr. Abdulkader Kamil Mohammed today, in the presence of the Secretary General of the Office of the Prime Minister, Mr. Naqib Abdullah. Taking the floor, the General warmly thanked the Prime Minister for his warm welcome, as well as the Colonel of the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, Mr. Zakaria Hassan Aden, who has facilitated this meeting. He previously referred to the purpose of his visit, which consists in support of the 4th mission of the National Gendarmerie Formation. He also indicated the placing at the disposal of the barracks of the National Police in order to train the Somali police on Djibouti soil. This is an opportunity for the Carabinieri to work with all the parties of the Djiboutian army, he said, recalling the interest for his country to work with the army of the country. He expressed in addition the will to strengthen the collaboration and the exchanges of information with the relevant services of the country. As for its part, the Prime Minister has not failed to recall the excellent relations of cooperation existing for decades between the two countries, which recently have been reinforced with the provision of a military base in Djibouti. He praised in particular the training of the National Gendarmerie and pleaded for the strengthening of the training and equipment for the Gendarmerie and National Police. He has also referred to the terrorist threat which weighs on the country, leading the government to take the exceptional security measures in order to fight against this threat. Since the terrorist event of Paris, the Western concern is also ours, the Prime Minister expressed.
The Minister of Interior, Hassan Umar Mohammed, has chaired a ceremony of inaugurating the border post of Loyada. In addition to the Minister of the Interior, this ceremony has seen the participation of the Director General of National Police, Colonel Abdullahi Abdi Farah, the Director of National Security, Hassan Saeed Khaire, Ambassador of the United States of America in Djibouti, Tom Kelly, as well as various officials, civil and religious personalities. The construction of this new 12-story building, as well as the purchase of installation of equipment to fight against terrorism, as apparatus metal and detection of X-ray equipment, has been funded by the United States of America. This new building will strengthen the safety at the level of the border of more frequent between Djibouti and Somalia. It will indeed share with the custom official. The personalities have then viewed the demonstration on the monitoring of a Loyada border post. The ambassador of the United States to Djibouti has been very delighted with the excellent cooperation existing between Djibouti and Washington.
The fruit party sittings have been held this morning at the Palace of the People and have been chaired by the President of the party, Ali Mohammed Daoud, with the participation of all the leaders and members of the Fruit Party and the President of the National Assembly, Mr. Muhammad Ali Hamad, and 2 members of the government. The party is one of the 5 parties of the UMB. The objective of this debate was on the internal level of the party and its development. In his opening speech, the President of the party talked about the activities of the party in the recent years. Thereafter, he has recalled the Agreement of Peace and National Reconciliation signed on December 26, 1994. In a speech delivered for this occasion, the President of the Fruit, Mr. Ali Mohammed Daoud, has explained the truthness in language concerning the situation of fruit that is affected by the lack of internal mobilization like the other political parties, he said.
After the opening of the meeting, a frank and direct debate took place between the members of the council. Some activities were approved concerning the management of the party fruit, noting also that there is a palpable flow between activities and the director of fruit. The proposals were also made to revitalize the strengthening of reorganization of the party fruit. The Council has also decided to prepare the Congress of December 26 to decide on the presidential election of 2016.
News release. The direction of the CNSS is informing the social insurers that the care provided to levels of all health infrastructures are now accessible. A desk of the CNSS will be available 24/7 for the information of the insured persons who are required to be present with the biometric card of the Social Security. The patients will benefit from the acts of curative consultations for children and adults carried out by a general practitioner or specialist. Medical analysis, the radiology examinations, the simple deliveries or a cesarean section, the insurance of essential drugs appearing on the national list of drugs, the hospitalization with or without surgical interventions. The CNSS is in charge to reimburse the costs of treatment consumed on the basis of the rate established by the decree number 2015-795 PR Mitira on December 10, 2015.
As it has been said yesterday, the National Social Security Fund, the CNSS, is celebrating since then the week of the health insurance. In this second day, the teams of the CNSS has installed the booth of information within the University of Djibouti in the view of educate the students on this regime, which seeks to provide a medical coverage for all. Be aware that the CNSS has already affiliated a large part of the students in the medicine faculty. The CNSS plans, in partnership with the University of Djibouti, to affiliate and to record all the students to the universal health insurance for that they benefit of a quality health care in the health structure of the CNSS.
Under the leadership of the Secretary of State for Youth and Sports, the Development Community Center of the State Neighborhood has organized this morning a ceremony of certificates delivery to the young people who benefited from the IT training. The Technical Advisor in Communication, Mrs. Madine Salah Ali, the Head of Service Monitoring and Evaluation of the CDC, Mrs. Ruqiyya Hassan Shah, the Director of the CDC, Mrs. Quraisha Ali, the members of the Community Council have taken part in this ceremony. This training, which lasts 6 months, will allow the young beneficiaries to acquire knowledge of technical and theoretical computer science. The objective of this training is to facilitate the insertion of young people in the social professional development. The technical advisor has during its intervention put the emphasis on the importance of this training in the insertion and involvement of young people in the economic development.
Idris Farah Abane Police Academy has housed today a ceremony of the end of a training for 200 Somali police. These later from 3 provinces in Somalia have been trained during 3 months by the Italian Carabiniers in order to keep peace and stability to protection of important personalities as well as in the areas of investigation on the scene of a crime. In the morning, the Minister of Interior Hassan Umar Mohammed has chaired this closing ceremony of a 3-month training. The ceremony has seen the participation of the Director General of the National Police, Colonel Abdullahi Adifara, the Chief of Staff of the National Gendarmerie, Colonel Zakaria Hassan Aden, and top military personalities. This training, which has a focus on the maintenance of the order, the protection of eminent personalities, as well as the investigation of the scenes of crime, will allow the police once back home to implement their required in order to ensure the stability on their country, but also counter insurgency and combat criminal gangs often responsible for various offenses. Indeed, with the urgent situation against the resurgence of a terrorist attack on members of the government and the different governmental institutions, the Somali police official must meet the challenges of the safety safety importance. This training is part of the international effort to fight against terrorism groups. This training, the fourth of its kind, has been provided by the Italian Carabineers within the police academic Ifan Garda. After the official speeches, the Somali police has proceeded to different demonstration of their acquired skills. The day was concluded by the presentation of a certificate to the Somali police official, but also the facilitators for the ranks of the national police.
Attivazione, fuoco, fuoco, fuoco!
Le diplôme va être remis par le colonel de la police nationale, M. Abdillahi Abdi Farah.
النجمة محمد موسى وحب حناية شهادة باولو فا.
The 15th anniversary of the Somali Peace Conference held in Arta has been celebrated in Mogadishu. Arta has become well known due to the memorable Somali Peace Meeting event who brought together all Somali around a table for the sole task to bring back peace and national reconciliate government. 15 years ago, these events went down in the history books. This gathering, one of its kind, have been possible because of the leadership of the head of state, His Excellency Ismail Margele, who embodied a vision of our neighbor country in peace. The head of state has materialized his vision with the Arta meeting events, which played an important role in these negotiations, which has been successful. The Somali government and elected representatives of the Federal Somalian Parliament in Mogadishu has in joy celebrated the 15th anniversary of the Arta Somali Reconciliation Conference.
And now on the regional level in South Sudan, over 2 million people have fled homes in South Sudan, worsening an already dire of a humanitarian crisis. The world's youngest nation is grappling to implement a ceasefire agreement which many hopes will finally restore lasting peace to the country. Leslie with more details.
More than 2.3 million South Sudanese have fled their homes in search of safety and protection. Almost one-third, nearly 655,000 people, have fled to Ethiopia, Sudan, Uganda, and Kenya. Combined with refugees who have fled before the crisis, a total of 770,000 South Sudanese refugees are now unable to return home. This country generously supports South Sudan refugees in the midst of other stress. Two-thirds of those displaced by this conflict, 1.7 million people, remain internally displaced in South Sudan, mostly in remote areas. Others have sought refuge in protection of civilian sites that were established on the base of the UN missions in the Republic of South Sudan. 2 weeks after, 6,000 people were sheltered. This unprecedented act saved lives. The untenable situation of these sites underscored the urgency of all parties to stop fighting, create stable and secure conditions, and resume essential services so that civilians can return home safely. Up to 2.4 million people in South Sudan, or 20% of the population, faced life-threatening hunger this month. This figure is 60% higher than last year. It will increase to 2.6 million and higher in early 2016 as the limited harvest have run out. In fact, today South Sudan is one of the most food insecure countries in the world. People have resorted to eating water lilies and grass to survive in remote areas. 250,000 children suffer from severe acute malnutrition. The situation could become worse without immediate and consistent access.
In Nigeria, 30 people were killed, 20 injured in cutthroats attack by Boko Haram. Here are the explanations.
Boko Haram militant attacked 3 villages in northeast Nigeria, killing 30 people and injured 20, citing a local who is helping out the national army. The Islamists reportedly used machetes to slaughter their victims. Most of the victims were slaughtered, and most of the wounded had suffered machete cuts, he said. A civilian who has been helping the national Nigerian military in the fight against Boko Haram. The attacks on the 3 villages, Werwara, Mangari and Burashika, happened on Saturday. All of the villages are located in the state of Borno, Need Buratai, which is the hometown of Nigeria's highest military chief. Details on the attack are coming to light only now as communication post has been damaged in previous Boko Haram attack. Most of the victims, a total of 20, were killed in Werwara village, another 6 were murdered in Burashika, and 4 died in Mangari, according to other witnesses.
This is it for this edition. Thanks for attention. The program still continues in RTD. Have a good evening.